Guess what time it is, kids? I know it's been a while since I've gotten to you, but I've been thinking about you a lot. It's story time by Grandma. Today I'm going to read to you Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack and the Beanstalk. There once was a poor widow who had a son named Jack. They lived in a small cottage not far from a little village. The winter had been very hard for them, and by spring there was not a scrap of food left to eat. "Come here, son," the mother called. Jack was a good and thoughtful boy, so he went at once to his mother's side. "We have nothing left to eat," the widow said with a sigh, "and we have no money to buy food. You will have to take Daisy to the village market and sell her." Daisy's the cow, I think. Pretty sure Daisy's the cow. This is the son over here. See? And this is Daisy. No, Daisy's the cow. I forgot. Jack reluctantly did as he was told. Placing a rope around Daisy's neck, he set off down the road with her toward the village market. Remember, these are our Flintstone stories. Along the way, Jack met a very strange-looking man. My, just look at this fine cow you have," said the man. "I'll bet you're off to the market to sell her, eh? Good lad. But might I make you an offer first?" The man pulled from his pocket 5 little beans. "Look close, my boy," the man began. "I will trade for this fine cow of yours these 5 magic beans. All your wishes and most your dreams shall be granted to you by the 5 little beans. Life's many troubles strike weak and strong, and trouble cares not for right or wrong. But if you are good, and if you are brave, these 5 little beans will pave your way. Take them, my boy, take them in hand. Trust in the magic at your command." See, there's the man who bought the cow, Daisy, for the 5 little beans. Jack happily swapped Daisy for the beans and hurried home to his mother. "Back so soon, Jack?" asked his mother in amazement. "Well, I hope you got a good price for the poor Daisy. Come, show me. How much money did she bring at the market?" Jack proudly opened his hand to show his mother the 5 magic beans. "What? Beans?" cried Jack's mother. "You traded Daisy for a handful of beans? How could you, Jack? Oh, my boy, what have you done? We shall surely starve now." And she went inside the cottage to cry. Jack had never felt more foolish. Magic beans indeed! He was tempted to throw the horrid beans as far as he possibly could. But Jack thought better of it. At least the beans might give them something to eat this spring. He dug a little hole in the garden and dropped the beans in. Then he carefully covered them up with dirt and watered them. Ashamed, Jack went into his room and sobbed himself to sleep. See, there's Jack, and he's putting the beans in the hole. The next morning, Jack rose early and went to greet the day at his window. Look out! He could hardly believe his eyes. Where he had planted the 5 little beans, there was now an enormous beanstalk. Enormous! Why, it was the biggest and tallest beanstalk ever. It curled high above the cottage, up above the tallest mountain, and up through the clouds. Jack wasted no time, and before his mother awoke, he quickly ran outside and began climbing the beanstalk. He knew now that the beans were magic, and that he must find out what was at the top of the beanstalk. He climbed and climbed and climbed. Before long, Jack was high above the valley, and among the clouds. Still the beanstalk went higher. When Jack at last reached the top of the beanstalk, he found himself in a strange, wonderful land. Glistening fields stretched out before him. ending at the edge of a dark and towering forest. Jack could see a colossal castle off in the distance and wondered what kind of people lived in this land high above the clouds. Jack made his way to the castle, and standing before its door, he realized that this castle was not just big, it was the biggest. The castle door was huge. It stood some 30 feet high. Jack gave such a place. Wait, nope, sorry. Jack gave a shudder, thinking of who lived in such a place. He took courage, though, remembering what the strange man had told him. If you are good and you are brave, these 5 little beings will pave your way. See, there's a big castle. There's Jack. He squeezed himself under the door. Jack knew now that this land above the clouds was a land of giants. Once inside, Jack made his way down a long hall and into an enormous dining room. In the dining room was a huge table, and on this table was food, lots of food, the biggest size food Jack had ever seen in all his life. He decided at once to climb a leg of the table and gather as much food as possible to bring back to his poor mother. Jack had reached the top of the table when he felt it begin to shake, and he heard what sounded like thunder. The sound grew louder and louder. Boom, 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 boom. Then he heard a deep voice say, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Upon hearing this, Jack jumped into the sugar bowl to hide, just in time, for at that moment a giant appeared. The giant had been busy all morning doing what giants like to do best. Needing a break from his work, he had decided to come home to eat a giant meal and take a nap. But as soon as he entered the castle, his nostrils filled with a peculiar smell. The giant looked everywhere, but he couldn't find Jack. Before long, the aroma of dinner overwhelmed the giant's attention, and he sat down to eat. When he was through his meal, the giant took down his 2 most prized possessions, a hen that laid golden eggs and a beautiful harp that sang with the voice of an angel. The giant commanded the hen to lay 3 golden eggs. 1, 2, 3 golden eggs appeared. Pleased with the hen, the giant then commanded the harp to sing as he settled down for a nap. He soon fell asleep to the gentle voice of the harp. With the giant asleep, Jack snuck out of the sugar bowl. See, there's Jack in the sugar bowl. There's the harp, and there's the hen with the 3 eggs right there. And he tiptoed across the table. Suddenly, it occurred to him that he would not need to steal food if he had had a hen that laid golden eggs. Reaching the hen, Jack grabbed her and began to make his way to the edge of the table. Just before he started down, the harp sang out to him, brave boy, don't leave without me. A prisoner I am of the giant, you see. Take me away from this ogre with you. I'll sing you pretty tunes all your days through." Jack was about to return for the harp when the giant began to stir. He quickly hid behind the bowl of fruit. The giant said sleepily, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood, of an Englishman." The giant rubbed his eyes a bit and cleared his throat. "Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "He, he! Oh, yes, I will, I surely will." The giant fell asleep again. Jack acted quickly, and running back across the table, he scooped up the harp under one arm as he held the hen tightly under the other. He had almost made it to the edge of the table when he slipped on a pat of butter. The harp cried out as they fell, and the giant awoke. Without losing his grip on either the hen or the harp, Jack jumped from the table and ran for the door. "I knew it! I knew it!" the giant cried in anger. "You won't escape me, little man!" And the giant began to chase after Jack. Jack made it safely to the beanstalk, but only because the giant tripped twice over his giant feet. With the hen on his head and the harp under one arm, Jack began to climb down the beanstalk. The giant peered down through the clouds, seeing Jack, began to climb down after him. See, there's the giant, there's the beanstalk, and here's Jack with his little friends, the hen and the harp. Jack reached the bottom ahead of the giant, but with huge strides the giant was only moments away from overtaking him. Jack quickly set the hen and harp down and grabbed an axe. When his mother ran from the cottage to greet him, she let out a cry as she saw the giant lumbering down them. Jack chopped away at the beanstalk with all his might until he cut it clean in two. The stalk gave way and came crashing down. "Oh no!" screamed the giant as he covered his eyes, facing a nasty fall to the earth. But luckily for the giant, the beanstalk fell over the nearby sea. No one knew if he could swim, but at any rate, the giant was never seen again. Jack, his mother, the hen, the harp, lived a very long, happy life together. Wasn't that a great story? I've read it different kinds of ways, but I think that was a really good story. Love you, kids.